everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for taking your seats. Thank you for braving this weather. Thank you for coming out this morning. Good morning once again. I'm Sharon Darling. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Special Ed here at FAU. I'd like to thank you for coming, and I will give you an orientation of what will happen this morning. Restrooms are off to my right here, if you'd like to use that. We will have a brief program for you, and then you'll be invited to hang around as long as you'd like. So we will start with Dean Steve Silverman. He will give you a welcome, and then that will be followed by tributes by a number of faculty members, and then we will proceed with the program. There are programs and bookmarks and a guest book, again, off to my right here. So when you get an opportunity, please pay tribute or whatever you'd like and sign the guest book. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming and for enduring the winter in Florida here. So we appreciate you coming. I'd like to offer a welcome from the Department of Special Education and from the College of Education. We're here for both a sad and an uplifting occasion. We're sad we lost Mike. Mike was a scholar, an administrator, a friend and colleague, and we're happy we get to celebrate Mike's life with so many people he influenced and were in his life. We have people here from the Department of Special Education, the College of Education from across FAU. There are former students here. There's people from the special education community throughout Florida. There are members of the scuba diving community here. And most importantly, Mike's significant other, Dawn Furlan, is here. So we have a nice crowd. Over the next hour or so, you'll hear people talking about Mike, and then we'll have an opportunity to exchange stories about Mike. And I'm really certain, if anything, Mike would like us to tell stories and even embellish the stories about him as we go through and do that. I've also asked to offer some comments about Mike. And I first met Mike at my interview for the job I currently have almost 3 years ago. As men of our age do, after the meeting, we were both in the restroom, and I said to him, oh, you're the department chair who's a scuba instructor. And he said, oh, you're a scuba instructor. And we talked about teaching scuba diving, and so that I was only a few minutes late for my next meeting doing it. When I came here, Mike was one of the first people to come into my office and welcome me. We had a lot in common. We're a couple months apart in age. We both grew up in the Delaware Valley, he in South Jersey, me in Philadelphia. We shared political beliefs and would talk for long periods of time on how to improve the nation. I'm not sure we did anything about it, but we certainly had our opinions on it. And we talked about scuba diving endlessly. When I first came here, Mike was just so helpful in talking about the scuba community and diving. And he would listen when I would talk about how much tougher Northeastern divers were than Floridian divers. And we really, really had a lot of nice talks. They were animated, and they were also generally the highlight of my work week. Mike cared about the world, both under the water and on top of it, and he was a fierce advocate for children with special needs. He'll be missed by me, and he'll be missed by all of our colleagues at FAU. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here this windy morning. I know many of you are watching online. For those of you who do not know me, I am Professor Ramaswamy, and I am honored to be here to share a few words about Dr. Michael Brady. Mike and I were colleagues and longtime friends. When I came to FAU in 1995, my major professor from the University of Arizona asked me to call Dr. Brady at Florida International University, where he was a special education professor. During this first contact, he invited me to speak to his class about programming for high school students with disabilities transitioning from school to work, post-secondary education, and community living. In that class, I saw a young doctoral student who is my colleague and a dear friend, Dr. Charles Dukes. Not too long after this, several of us recruited Mike to FAU in 2000 as a chair of our department. I have so many memories working with Mike, and I will share a few of them with you today. To start off, I want to say that Mike loved Indian food. He also loved tropical fruits. And as luck would have it, I have a dozen tropical fruit trees in my yard. On several occasions, Mike came over to our house and enjoyed my wife's fresh cooked Indian food and the fruits from my trees. Apparently, his fondness of Indian food did not fade. 10 years ago, we were driving home from a big conference. As we got near Jacksonville, he started craving for Indian food. So we set out to find the best Jacksonville had to offer. We ended up a lunch buffet and got to say it was excellent. Thankfully. But this does not end here. The owners of that restaurant opened up in Pompano Beach, and Mike and I went there often. In fact, we went with my son along with others just this past June before my son moved to another city. What really sticks out in my mind about Mike is his passion to help others and contribute to the success of many faculty and doctoral students. Several of our former doctoral students are here in the audience, and many are watching online. His leadership in the department was exemplary. Mike was also a great writer and a scholar. He brought in millions of dollars through grants to the department. In 2018, he was selected as the University Scholar of the Year. Since 2018, he authored or co-authored and submitted or published 29 manuscripts. In 2020, the Eastern Educational Research Association provided him the Senior Scholar Award. When Dr. Gary Seso, the former Dean of the College of Education at Lehigh University, learned of Mike's passing, he shared with us his thoughts. Here is a quote. "This is very sad news and devastating to our special education community. Michael was a quiet giant in the field, doing important and often groundbreaking work, yet always let his work do the talking rather than promoting himself. A real professional, a caring and collegial man. Not many are made in this model, in this mold. I can go on and on with his scholarship, awards, and achievements, but let me share with you where he left his legacy. Mike Brady and Mary Lou Duffy started the Academy for Community Inclusion program at Jupiter campus in 2016 with 9 students. Through the generous support of the Taft Foundation. Nina and Howard, thank you. The ACI program is a college program for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Academy students earn certificates in the area of supported community employment, supported community access, and supported community living. In addition to the support from Taft, the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities helped ACI grow into the comprehensive program it is today at both the Jupiter and Boca Raton campus. Janice from UCF is here. Janice, thank you. This semester, 38 students enrolled across 2 campuses, and we have full-time staff plus a doctoral student. 24 students graduated from the program so far, and they are working and living alongside their peers without disabilities in our communities. ACI students often refer Mike as the guy who tells me grow a mustache, or wants to know if I shave, or asks how much money is in my bank account. Dr. Brady make himself known to every ACI student. Mike often referred to ACI as the highlight of his long and successful career in the field of special education. Funding and long-term sustainability of the program were his goals, and Dr. Brady's legacy will live on all of the individuals touched by ACI. Here is a small narrative from ACI staff. Dr. Brady was a mentor, guide, and teacher to all of us. He was our captain, and he taught us some valuable lessons that he shared back in November at the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities Planning Institute, where Janice is at in Orlando. He said, 1, hire the best. 2, make the program unique. 3, adapt flexibility with high expectations. And 4, create policies and procedures for clarity. He is sorely missed. Personally, I am proud to be associated with Mike, and I am grateful for the time we worked together. As I mentioned earlier, in 1996, Mike invited me to share my research on transition from school to adult life for students with disabilities. As fate would have it, here, 26 years later, I am stepping in to help my old friend continue what he started and what he was proud of. I am sure Mike is watching, smiling as I step in to carry on his ACI legacy. Thank you.
Okay, this one's from Gabby.
Ray, thank you very much. Hello, I'm Jack Scott. On the faculty in the Department of Special Education here at FAU. By way of an advance organizer, I have 3 points to make. I'll be relatively short. Number 1, Mouse to a Rat. Number 2, Working, a book by Studs Turkle. And number 3, The Aloha Spirit. The Aloha Spirit is embodied by Mike Brady. It's with great sadness that I approach this task, but also with enthusiasm and the hope that I can make a suitable tribute to a wonderful person and a good friend, Michael Brady. I was the one who I'm proud to say headhunted Mike. Rama, you had a role, but I think I got to him first. We had met at the Florida Association for Behavior Analysis. I think it was 1998, could have been 1999, but I met him, started talking with him, and almost immediately I recognized this guy wasn't just on the ball, this guy was a guru. We were there to talk about behavior analysis. He was expert at behavior analysis, but a lot of people, that's the end of it. He took behavior analysis as a tool to use to help people with disabilities, and in other ways to help across his entire teaching career. We soon had an opening here for a department chair. It was very fortunate, and I talked it up with Mike. Rama talked it up with Mike. He came here, he applied, he outclassed the competition by a mile. Nobody else had a chance. It wasn't even a fair fight. But I remember how Mike won over the faculty and instantly got him on his side. Someone asked how he envisioned the position of the chair of a department. Some of you remember, say Mike and Peggy Goldstein, you'll remember this. Mike started off in replying to this. How did he envision the position of chair? By saying, I know that a new department chair is often seen as a mouse in training to be a rat. That did it. He had us all eaten out of the palm of his hand. His awareness of the concerns of the faculty, expressed in that one simple statement, let us know that he was on our side, that we could count on him to carry our issues forward. Well, he always did that. Once department chair, his concern for faculty, us mice, was always on the very top of his list. While he was a powerhouse of a mouse, he certainly never became a rat, or even close to it. So, the second topic is working, and I'm going to reference Studs Turkle and read a little bit from him, an author that Mike was quite fond of. Mike Brady was a very hard worker. He wasn't just smart, but he was a hard worker. Even as his health was strained, he showed up. He mentioned to me that he was one of only 6 people who was in the College of Ed just about every workday during the whole COVID experience. I know I wasn't one of those 6, but he knew who they were, and he was among them. I had a face-to-face meeting with Mike, with Kevin McCormick, the director of ESE, Special Ed for Palm Beach County Schools, and Andy Brewer. I see you're here today. Thank you. This was on December 10th, only 6 days before Mike passed away. Mike may not have been feeling well, but you never would have known that. He was there. A 1-hour meeting went on for 2.5 hours, largely at Mike's initiative, as we explored ways to get more ESE teachers, more special ed teachers into the pipeline. We came up with a lot of ideas that the department, Dr. Ramaswamy and others, will help move forward. And we have a really nice linkage with the district at a high level that I think will be very productive over time. As I got ready to go from this meeting, Mike asked me about Studs Turkle. I knew about him. I'd read some of his stuff. Studs was a writer who wrote about common people, and especially working people. Turkle wrote about how even people who had jobs that weren't of high value to society, people who were steel workers, supermarket clerks, that work conferred dignity on a person and gave meaning to their life. He gave me a copy of Turkle's book, Working. I'd suggest you get it and read it. It's from 1974 or something like that, but it still rings true. A lot of the professions are no longer around anymore, I'll tell you that. As I began to read the stories of supermarket checkers and steelworkers, I got a clearer picture of one of the pillars of Mike Brady's character: the value of work, the dignity of work, the dignity of a job well done. As Turkle writes about work, he says, it's about a search, too, for daily meaning as well as daily bread, for recognition as well as cash, for astonishment rather than torpor. In short, for a sort of a life rather than a Monday through Friday sort of dying. For Mike, who had all the work he could possibly manage, this respect for and faith in work was on behalf of people with disabilities, people so often kept out of the workforce. Mike wanted people with disabilities to have a life worth living, and for him, that meant a life with meaningful work. Whether it was his jobs assessment, or his many studies on work skills or transition, or the Academy for Community Inclusion that we heard about and we'll hear more about, it all came back to helping those with disabilities get a shot at a real job, and with it, real meaning from life. My third topic, the Aloha Spirit. I was working on a textbook with Claudia Clark, who some of you remember, when I met Mike, and he offered to join us, and I jumped in on that. He taught both Claudia and I how to edit better, how to rewrite, how to organize, and organize what we had to say, and how to discard old versions and get them out of the way. This is when we had paper versions, and I can just remember him tearing stuff up and say, well, we're done with this, and just throwing it away. So let's get it out of here. Let's move on. This was one of his special gifts, his ability to edit and to coach people to edit. And our doctoral students and other faculty know this so well. And he knew how to make writing into an event, how to make it kind of special. He arranged for Claudia and I to do some of the writing in the Florida Keys at a friend's home down there, which was an amazing experience, and some at his home in Miami when he was living there. It was there that I first learned about the Aloha Spirit from Mike and heard about the music of Israel Kamaka, oh geez, I had practiced this. Kamaka, go ahead. Kamaka Viva Ole. Kamaka Viva Ole. How am I doing now? Kamaka Viva Ole. Mike could say it smoothly and he didn't have to think about it. He tried to get me to say it, and I never could. But Kamaka Viva Ole is, to his fans, a musician who embodied the spirit, the Aloha Spirit of Hawaii and of Polynesia. A spirit Mike reflected in all he did. I don't think we recognize that sufficiently. When you say aloha, he wasn't just saying goodbye. He was saying aloha. For those who do not know this, the Aloha Spirit is spelled out in Hawaiian legislation. It is formally there, and it's the only state to have an official state spirit. Now, Kentucky has an official state spirit, but it's not Aloha, I'll tell you that. So, anyway, the Aloha Spirit, and here's from their legislation, is the coordination of mind and heart within each person. It brings each person to the self. Each person must think and emote good feelings to others in the contemplation and presence of the life force, and is shown by these traits of character. First, kindness to be expressed with tenderness, unity to be expressed with harmony, agreeable to be expressed with pleasantness, humility to be expressed with modesty, patience to be expressed with perseverance. Oh my goodness. Aloha is more than a word of greeting or farewell or a salutation. Aloha means mutual regard and affection and extends warmth and caring with no obligation in return. Aloha is the essence of relationships in which each person is important to every other person for collective existence. Aloha means to hear what is not said, to see what cannot be seen, and to know the unknowable. In his great character, Mike embodied all of these Aloha traits and many, many more. Please join me in this Aloha Spirit and a final aloha to Mike by saying Aloha Mike along with me. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Aloha Mike. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Wilson, recently, and when I say recently, I mean recently, as of this December, retired faculty member in the Department of Special Education here at FAU. Thank you for the opportunity and for everyone who is here today to honor Mike's life. I first came to know Mike when he took the position as department chair here at FAU. Being the department chair is not an easy position. I should know. I served in that position. And although I tried to set the example for Mike to get in there and get out and not stay too long, but Mike, being the person that he is, he did not follow my example. Like most things Mike did, he had to do it his way, and the department has been the better for it. The position of department chair can be a thankless position, as if playing politics and making difficult decisions isn't enough, the department chair also has to take the brunt of work frustrations, not only of the faculty, but also of the administration. And Mike excelled at that. He fiercely advocated for and protected our faculty. His loyalty to the department was unquestionable, unflappable. But at the same time, he was just enough of a smoozer to stay in the good graces of the administration. He was both a true faculty administrator and a true faculty colleague. Truthful and honest are just a couple of ways to describe Mike. never scared to tell it like it is. Mike was honest, and he would tell you the truth. I remember all too well his telling me, way too often the university moves at a snail's pace. But if we just keep hammering away, making our voices heard, there are rewards to uncover if you're willing to put in the legwork. And Mike Brady always put in the legwork. Now, if you will forgive me just a little bit, these next words I speak directly to Mike. Mike, I wish I had one more chance to meet with you and personally tell you how grateful I am that I worked with you. I wish I had one more time to tell you what you meant to me. That while there were times we didn't always agree, I always knew you were in my corner. That you supported not just my work, but that you supported me. This was more evident to me in the past 2 years when I lost my husband. And one of the first phone calls I got was from Mike. And he said to me, take all the time that you need. Let me say that again, is what he said. Don't worry about rushing back to work. Take all the time that you need. The department will cover your classes, and we will be there to support you. Not every supervisor, not every boss lays it out like that. And I appreciated that more than you know. Mike, you inspired me and you helped me to grow, not only as a professional, but as a person. And I end with these words from Eleanor Roosevelt. Many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints on your heart. Mike Brady, I will forever feel your footprints on my heart. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kelly Carney, and I'm really glad I'm wearing my sunglasses so you can't see my mascara running right now after that. That was beautiful, Dr. Wilson. I am here on behalf of the Academy for Community Inclusion. We have some ACI students here today and their families, and he would be so happy to see you guys here. And on behalf of ACI, I gotta say, he did hire the best. That's why we have Janice here supporting us. He knew what he was doing. We're all here together today to honor this great man. He was a teacher, a mentor, and a friend. He had a lot to say, and always so eloquently, although not always particularly briefly. He spoke with sincerity and fervor. He knew there was work to be done, and the passion for this work was contagious. The culmination of that work was the foundation of the Academy for Community Inclusion. Decades of advocacy led to the creation of ACI. Mike Brady believed that all people, regardless of individual strengths or weaknesses, deserve to be safe and connected and happy. Mike, along with a handful of other people, started ACI a few years ago. This program provides an opportunity for adults with intellectual disability to go to college. Mike was a strong advocate and an ally for people with disabilities, and he developed ACI from the ground up. Once ACI was established, he began collaborating with other programs across the state. helping them develop similar programs, and further ensuring that even more people have access to the opportunities that come along with post-secondary education. This program is his legacy. And although I am so saddened that he is not here to continue this important work, he left behind a team just as dedicated as he was, because he hired the best. So we will continue his work of advocacy and allyship. We will be assertive and compassionate and effective. We will continue to do the work he left unfinished, because in the words of Teddy Roosevelt, the best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. Mike Brady embodied this idea, and this work is so worth doing. And perhaps part of what makes the work worth doing is doing it with people that you respect and admire. Mike, we've got this.
Thank you for those wonderful tributes. We're all moved and touched. Before I introduce the singer, I want to remind everyone, because we've heard a lot of people talk about the work that Mike has done for adults with disabilities. When I interviewed almost 18 years ago here at FAU, Mike and I spent a lot of time talking about preschoolers with special needs, young children with special needs. That's where his work began. So he truly spanned the lifespan with his work in school.
Good morning, everyone. I will be singing Wind Beneath My Wings. I hope you all enjoy.
The sky. Thank you, thank God for you, the wind beneath my wings.
Thank you.
Whose idea was it for me to follow that? Mine, right. Okay. You remember how Cynthia was talking about the whole chair thing? Yeah, that apparently it messes with you. That was not a good idea. Well, hello everyone. My name is Charles Dukes. I currently serve as the interim chair of the Department of Curriculum Instruction, but I'm also a professor in the Department of Special Education. And I'm going to offer some words about Mike. We've already heard some really nice things, and as people were talking, I thought to myself, I wonder, should I edit? Should I revise some of the things I have? But I'm going to do the best I can here. So as we've already heard, Mike is a scholar, a teacher, a diver, a comedian. He worked hard at all of those. Probably that last one, he was pretty good at that one. So as Jack offered you an advanced organizer, I think it only fair I offer an advanced organizer as well. So I'm going to talk about him as a scholar, a teacher, and about what he taught me. So as a scholar at Vanderbilt, when he was there, he had 12 publications before he graduated. He would remind me of that. And I always used to say, how the hell am I going to have that? I didn't. I didn't try. But at the time, do we have anyone from Vanderbilt here now? No? Okay, all right. Well, so we're just going to let it stand. At the time, and actually this is a fact, at the time, he was the most published doctoral student ever in the history of Vanderbilt. And if you know anything about Peabody, that's quite the feat. I won't bore you with the names who have come through Vanderbilt, but there are some quite prestigious names who have come through Vanderbilt. So I was always in awe of that. He was a champion for doctoral students. 49 dissertations in his career, 25 of those at FAU. There is one very important one at FIU. I won't tell you whose dissertation that was. But anyway, as Jack pointed out, I'm looking at Kelly. I'm looking at Lisa. I'm looking at, there we go, Allie. I mean, we could go on and on. They're out there. There's probably at least 5 or 6 out there in the audience now. And believe me, there are many, many more. And he served as champion for them. And that is the appropriate word, because it was not just about teaching. It was also about advocacy, and it was also about being a support mechanism like no other. He was a teacher. His reverence for the English language may have been somewhat off-putting for some, but fun for others. For example, you might walk by and you might say, Mike, how do you cite a current website that's in use now for an in-text citation? Here's how you do that, Dukes. And we would talk about it. He would talk about the power of the colon. Does anyone know the power of the colon? Does anyone know? Perhaps not. Let me tell you. The power of the colon. Two independent clauses can be brought together to say one thing. And we talked about this. But we also talked about, and we could flip on a dime, we could also talk about how one calculates earned run average for any baseball pitcher. We could also talk about the lab at Vanderbilt that measures the rotations of the baseball so a hitter knows how to better hit a baseball. And we could talk about that at the turn of a dime. And I always appreciate that. But probably what I enjoy most and what will stay with me, I guess this is my footprint on my heart from him, and that's his lessons about humanity. We don't always, as individuals, as we go through this world, we don't always have an opportunity to understand what it really means to be humane or what it means to be a human. I think we take that for granted, and I understand that, and I'm not judging anyone who does not have this opportunity, but quite often, it is individuals with disabilities who can serve as a mirror for us so that we can better understand who we are as human beings. We can better understand perhaps what it means to really be and to have humanity. What he taught me was that those, no matter ability, had dignity. What he taught me was that no matter ability, those people deserve respect. We all deserve respect. And by understanding who we are as human beings, by understanding who other people are as human beings, and understanding that they deserve dignity and respect, it's from there that we can learn how best to live within this world. He told me to read things like I'm not retarded, I'm Catholic. And that's a real article, 1986, by the way. But most importantly, it's things like that that touched me, that allowed me to better understand not just what it meant to be a special educator, but what it meant to be a decent human being and to have the wherewithal to understand those who came before me and those who will come after me. I think probably the best thing that I can say is that he taught me how to put myself in touch with more reinforcers, how to keep my behavior under the stimulus control of those things that are positive, to avoid aversives, and do the very best that I can to be positive. Thank you.
You've heard lovely things about a wonderful colleague and friend today, and I'm going to offer toast. I hope we'll have a lot more toasts in a few minutes when this is over. But to Mike Brady, a life well lived with incredible values, an advocate for others, and a great colleague and friend. We'll miss you, Mike.
On behalf of the Department of Special Education and the College of Education, I want to thank all of you for attending Mike's memorial service with us here and online. I want to thank our Dean, Steve Silverman, for making this venue, food, and garage for parking available to all of us. The Dean's Secretary, Ms. Josephine Elliott, worked diligently to make this service run smoothly, along with the Dean's staff. Dr. Jack Scott, Director for CARD Program, and my colleague, along with his staff, made these beautiful flower arrangements. Thank you, Jack. Additionally, I want to thank our Provost, Brett Danilovich, and Vice President Stacy Wolnick for their support. My colleagues, Sharon Darling and Charles put this program together did a lot of work behind the scenes. The rest of us from the special education department helped them as much as we can. Thank you, Sharon and Charles. Finally, on behalf of Don Furlan, Mike's family, professional colleagues, friends, College of Education, and the Department of Education, I say final farewell to my friend, Dr. Michael Brady. Thank you. After a short video, please help yourself for plenty of food and drinks. Thank you.
Hi there again. We'd like to thank you very Hello there again. Thank you very much for joining us today, particularly those who are online with us. And please partake. If the weather's too much for you, you can also go inside. We have some cocktail rounds set up there as well. But please eat, drink, and be merry, and tell stories about Mike and enjoy yourselves. You'd want that.
If you're so inclined, please sign the guest book as well at the table.